what would you ask an art lawyer if you could? I was interested in how you put, like, how do you hold selection committees accountable when they kind of seem to pick the same people over and over, or it's the same BIPOC people are kind of like tokenized over and over, most likely to do like the same thing. So I don't know if you wanted to like expand on that more.
Yeah. I mean, I think the work is being done through organizing, in all honesty. I've been starting to see more grants because of the, again, larger movement, frontline movement in other spaces like philanthropy that is now influenced, because we know that 1%, basically foundations, 1% of foundation money is what is grant money, right? Like 1% of all the wealth that foundation reported goes to public relations or our artist grants. So shifting that 1% through these, you know, innovative, philanthropic movement work or whatever, I'm starting to see more and more that the selection committee, when they're using words like social justice and things like that, they'll have members from frontline communities, maybe not necessarily if it gets stuck on a way person looks, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna be centering marginalized artists. So it's all very tricky, like that whole concept of like diversity and inclusion, which is like one of the latest cooperative and practices. You know, it's interesting. So I've seen that, you know, I hopefully hire people from the community who are known as organizers in this space to then select proposals based on that. But even then, it's like so tedious. It's like you have to prove that you are so marginalized for it. These grants are just obnoxious, in all honesty, and take so many hours to get what, like a few $1,000s, right? So yeah, there has to be a lot of work. I think I was just being kind of like tongue-in-cheek saying that, like, as an artist, diversify, because I know full well that the only way you do that is through like community organizing and protests, you know, which, you know, we don't have time for in the arts at this point, because there's just so many other campaigns that are really, and not to mention livelihood. And I think that like the concept of an artist lawyer, again, would really be within the framework of fighting within whatever the system is right now. So fighting for your rights within this moment. So to me, it's like, I know it's necessary, and I'm glad that people are doing that work and people have some of these resources. I just don't know how accessible those resources are to a lot of artists, right? Like you have to be at a particular career level to even be thinking about having a lawyer come into, you know, to negotiate something on your behalf. Like most of us, our biggest legal thing is making sure that we sign an MOU and show up to the event, you know. Y'all, you know. So it's really like, what that question for me is like, what level of career is a person able to go, and you know, because my trajectory has felt really different. I don't think it's like necessarily it has to exclusively be this way. It's just what's happened and what I've been able to make happen with the way I've been moving as an individual, with like not very much formal training to be an artist. So yeah, like networking, contacts, all of that stuff has been very like elusive and a difficult thing to navigate for me, particularly because I'm making strategic decisions to literally protest the institutions that are providing funding for artists, right? So I've basically written out. But yeah, like, is it good that there are more POC because of all of this protest work that, you know, people have been involved with, you know, a decade or so ago? Sure, 100%. It's good to see having a little bit more diversity. Is it really materially changing much on the ground for most artists of color? No, not really.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying like, yeah, what like the term like art lawyer like kind of feels more like someone who's like mid-career over who's like talking through like insurance or all that jargon. Like how can whatever an art lawyer can provide, which I'm also still kind of figuring out, like how is that not something that you have to like pay for? It's something that's more accessible. It's something that's like a collective sort of education that artists or just like anybody has more access to. Like what would that look like?
Yeah, and we're talking about the average artist, how concerned. So are these artist lawyers up to date with like rental housing law? Are they working organizers, resisting eviction?
Yeah, it's all connected with each other. Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah, it's really like what is the artist lawyer specialty? Who are their clients? Because what they're practicing is going to indicate their notion of what a proper art client is. But that might be meaning a whole bunch of people who are artists who can't identify as artists because they cannot have a career in the arts because of the way there's no way to really hold culture workers or most people who have an art career. So it's just like it feels almost irrelevant to me, like because basic needs have to be met in other ways. Thank you so much. It was really good to hear your answers to these questions one day. I would love having connection.
Yeah, I'm like forming the I feel like I shouldn't call them answers because there's so much nuance to each of these questions. But yeah, but I will share the recording with you, and if you want to like use it for anything else, like for sure. Thank you so much for joining. I can be in touch about like other logistical things if anything comes up. But I hope you have a really great rest of your day and take time to rest as well when you can.
Thank you. You too. I'm hearing that from you as well.
All right. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.